So I recently finished this 21 days of positive affirmations challenge, and I wanted to talk to you about my journey and kind of explain what I think happened, the changes in my brain, as well as the events that actually somewhat manifested as a result of me doing this challenge, potentially. There's definitely something there that we'll get into, but I want to take you guys through this journey, so let's get into it. So, as you would expect at the beginning of this challenge, I needed to lay some really good foundations before getting to the real work. So, this of course meant writing my initial positive affirmations that I was going to be repeating day in and day out for the next 21 days. This took me about 20 minutes to complete, and the affirmations I wrote were specific to my current situations, goals, etc., etc. So, they focused on the areas of my life that I wanted to improve or those which I was not already happy with. I tried my best to not filter what I was thinking in these and let positivity flow onto the page, but upon reflecting what I'd written, I feel like if I'd spent a little more time, I could have made much better affirmations which targeted my self-worth and character a little more precisely, and this is probably my biggest criticism of the challenge. Regardless of that criticism though, I still ended up with 35 affirmations at the end of the day, which served their purpose, and they were specific to my life, and I think did become helpful. It's just if you guys were going to do this, I would recommend you spend a little bit more time and really get your affirmations down. Put affirmations down that you think are going to lift you up every day, day in and day out, and something that you can gradually see yourself believing, so it's not too far-fetched, but it's just something there, and if you repeat it and you repeat it, every day it will lift you up, because I think that that's the biggest thing that this challenge brought and had to offer. And so as simple as that, we sat down and we started. Every morning, as soon as I woke up, and every night before bed, we'd sit down and we'd read our 35 positive affirmations that I'd written down earlier.
Processes. I am interesting and people enjoy talking to me. I have the potential to become a great hello cloud. The limits I have are self-imposed and I'm capable of pushing past them. I know who I am and I know what I want.
So the influence of these affirmations on my psyche actually happened a lot quicker than I was originally anticipating they would. I remember about the 5th day I'd been invited to a pool party, and I knew probably less than 10% of the people there. I pretty much knew the guy whose house it was and her partner and one other guy, so 3 out of maybe 20 people that were there. So that's normally a really uncomfortable situation for most people, myself included. I'm not good in those situations, because normally what you do, you're driving to the party and you're sitting in your car and anxious thoughts start to come into your head. Oh, what if these people don't like me? It's hard to talk to new people. What do I have in common with them? Are they going to like me? What's going to happen if they don't like me? Like, what am I going to do? This party could be so bad. That's a pretty normal thought cycle for people that are going into situations with people that they don't know, in my experience anyway. So the thing that I found interesting only 5 days in is that my brain's automatic knee-jerk reaction was just, it would shoot off a negative thought, an anxious thought, and then instantly, like when you get hit on the knee and your knee flicks up, instantly my brain would counteract that with one of my positive affirmations that I've been saying. Okay, no one's going to like you at this party. Boom, straight away my brain says, you're interesting and people enjoy talking to you. And it kind of just like, one negative, one positive, one negative, one positive. Generally speaking, it's normally all negative, and you have to really try calm yourself down. And it's forced. This didn't feel forced. It was like my brain just had a natural built-up barrier of defense that was counteracting these anxious thoughts. My subjective opinion of this whole exercise is this is the single biggest influence that the positive affirmations had. This building up this barrier and this resistance to negative thoughts by instantly firing off in a knee-jerk reaction some kind of positive thought that you've been telling yourself. This is hands down the best thing that the positive affirmations could possibly do for you, I think. It's the most quantifiable effect that they do for you, because it's something that you pick up on and you notice it. And if you guys do this, I'd be really interested to hear if you had a similar experience. Something that I wanted to combat early was the results of this challenge being solely based on a subjective self-reflection of how I felt at the start of the challenge versus how I felt at the end of the challenge, because as we all know, there's many things that can influence how you feel in a day, and I didn't want this 21-day period of reflection to go to waste. So I looked for some sort of metric which would help me objectively gauge any change in character or personality. I searched for some sort of mental health tests or something which might act as a good indicator, but to no avail, and instead I settled for what's known as the Big 5 personality test. For those of you who don't know what the Big 5 personality traits are, it was originally a term coined by Lou Goldberg, who's a personality psychologist, and it attempts to characterize individuals based on their tendencies. So Big 5 traits are broken up into extroversion, agreeableness, emotional stability, conscientiousness, and intellect or intelligence. Looking at each of the 5 factors individually, extroversion, on the 1st of December 2020, I scored 37, and this stayed exactly the same at the end when I did the test again. Emotional stability increased by 5 points, going from 89 to 94. Agreeableness stayed exactly the same, and it was 2, both at the start and then at the end. Conscientiousness increased by 9 points, from 67 to 76 at the end of the challenge. And intellect/imagination improved the most by 20 points, going from 3 up to 23. This was obviously just a questionnaire that I filled out, and I could have been influenced by what was happening on either one of those days, which would have swayed the results in some favour, good or bad. However, I do think that it makes sense for positive affirmations to have no negative influence on you overall as a person. So I think that of the results shown, the one that's least surprising is the increase in emotional stability. You would expect that if you're reaffirming to yourself every day who you are and what you believe in, then that's going to make you more solid and less subject to emotional swings as people come and go and say things that you disagree with or bad circumstances happen to you. Personally, I'm going to take the increase in both intellect and conscientiousness with a grain of salt, because I think, if anything, it's more likely that I just answered the questions differently based on how I was feeling on the day than the positive affirmations actually made a change in my character and the traits that I put forward. But wait, let me get a cup of water, because there's actually more to the story. For those of you who are interested in pseudosciences like star signs or psychics, then you might find this next part a little interesting. So, if you guys remember that pool party story, on the same day before that pool party, I actually had a Halo competition, and it was the HCS Series 2 Championships for $5,000 for the winning team, and my team actually placed second. So this is the first time I've ever placed second in a major competition. And then, literally the day before that was the first time in my whole life reaching 90 kilos. So if you managed to pick them up in my affirmations that I showed on the screen earlier in the video, you would have seen that 2 of my affirmations, one of them was to reach 90 kilos of lean muscle, which I've been trying to do since I was 18 years old, and I'm almost 24 now. And the second one was to become a top Australian Halo player. So it's either one or two things. One, it's a big coincidence that both of those things happened early on in the part, literally 5 days in. 4 and 5 days in to this challenge, those 2 things happened. Big coincidence? Maybe. Who knows? Couldn't tell you. But something that I put a bit of thought into is could this be something to do with the law of attraction? So for those of you who don't know what the law of attraction is, I'll put it on the screen now and we'll read through it. The law of attraction, according to Wikipedia, is a new thought of philosophy. The law of attraction is the belief that positive or negative thoughts bring positive or negative experiences into a person's life. The belief is based on the ideas that people and their thoughts are made from pure energy, and that a process of like energy attracting like energy exists through which a person can improve their health, wealth, and personal relationships. Obviously, there's no scientific evidence supporting it, and it's widely considered to be a pseudoscience. But it's interesting to me that when I actually start putting these things into words and verbalizing them, and as this law would say, putting that energy out into the world, it's interesting that that's the time period where it comes back to me and I actually achieve those things. Anywho, all in all, I definitely recommend that any and all of you give this a shot, especially people that are introverted or people that get anxious around other people. I think that they're going to be people that get the most out of this. In terms of effort expended and then rewards that you get at the end, 2 minutes a day could change the way that you talk to yourself and have all kinds of consequences and ramifications on your life that are only going to be good. So anywho, that's going to wrap up the video. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and enjoy the rest of 2021. Peace out.
I don't give a damn, cause I'm on route, coming for the crown, tell me who I gotta run through, I was in the room with the 1-2, did it myself, made it happen cause I want to, people always tell me what they gon' do, I don't sweat about it, I just move like a boss move, man, it's really been long, dude, but I'm here now, and it's no